Hey, this is Steve with Life After Addiction Indictment, and I'm glad you made it today. Today, I wanted to talk about how resistance affects an entrepreneur, really how it affects our daily lives, not only in business as an entrepreneur, but also in our relationships with our significant other, maybe our kids or coworkers or those who work for us. The past couple of weeks, for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on, but I've had a ton of resistance. And some of it's come in the form of a really kind of funky headache. Last week, it's Tuesday today, and last week for four and a half days, on and off, but several hours each day, I was having headaches. And occasionally, I think a lot of it's due to posture sometimes with my laptop, depending on how I'm sitting, that I get really tight in here. And as I do, I contribute that to what ends up giving me a really gnarly tension headache at the base of my skull. And so that's what was happening. But there were times that the headache would be right up here in the top, center, really on both sides. And it honestly felt like it was in like halfway in my brain, not surface level. And then a couple of times on the back, 3/4 of the way up. It's really hard for me to even articulate the way it felt, but it caused 3 days where I adjusted my schedule. I canceled a podcast with a guest I've been trying to get on for some time. There's a couple of days I ended up going home, and 2 of the days actually, and laid down for a couple hours, tried to sleep it off. But it was one of those things, like I say, that it wasn't extremely intense, but it was bad enough that it just really, I couldn't focus. And, I talked to one of my coaches about it. And, I've learned to, when things like that happen, I've learned to kind of just have nothing about it. Back a couple of years ago, I would have let that really negatively affect me because I would have created stories in my head about, oh, I can't leave. I can't go home and lay down for a couple of hours, because I got to be taking care of business. There's two things there that I want to point out. Number one, you're not that effective when you're in that mindset. And it wasn't so much that I was in a scarcity mindset. It's just, I had a lot going on, and I still do, but I've learned how to definitely delegate, a lot more. And I've just learned to, I've been able to have a peace about me that I haven't honestly had in my whole life. I've been very, intense and wound up kind of an individual. And that's just been my personality. But as I've meditated, prayed more, really, kind of just been able to get my mindset changed, and really, I think honestly, a lot of it's through prayer and just having God in my life. That's allowed it, because I have the faith, as well as now the experience, that I know if I do my best and I have things like this come up, that I have the people in place, the systems and processes, that things will still get handled. So I can do that, and not get even more wound up or stressed because I feel like, oh man, I can't go home to try to deal with this. And so that's been a real game changer. Resistance comes in many forms. I've got, those of you that know, I've had Ryan Stewman on my show. He calls it the force of average too. It's kind of the same thing. You get these thoughts and these things coming at you that hold you back. Now something physical is a little bit different, obviously, than just the mental. And I really tried, honestly, to focus on, really overcoming it through thought, to try to really help my body push through and kind of, take care of the headache that I had. I can't say that I was real successful at it. I think there was times it did help for sure. I think it really helped a lot overall, because had I not had that ability, to see and know the difference between mindset and kind of like where, our energy flows, where our focus goes. So, because I focused on, the positive, even though it sucked, and trying to put my mind in a place and my body to where it would kind of just let go of it, as well as pray and ask God for his help, you know, that makes it a lot better than had I, years ago been wound up and had the different situation going on where I'm stressing, I'm creating stories in my mind about I gotta be at work, I gotta get this handled, or I gotta do that, to where I literally could never go lay down and relax or have a nap in the daytime anyway. I've never been able to do that in my life because my mind just won't shut down, I just got one of those minds that just goes, it's always thinking. But because I've been able to, make a shift and see that and control what I focus on, it didn't make things worse without a doubt. So, anyways, there's a lot going on in the world. I'm not going to go into that. I've talked a little bit about that at times on some other episodes, but there's a lot going on. I believe there's a big energy shift happening in a positive way, but at the same time, there's a ton of negative. I'm going to call it, for lack of a better way to put it, demonic energy that's trying to hold things back as we try to take kind of our lives and our world back from a energetic and God perspective. And because of that, I really believe I know there's a massive war going on between good and evil. So I think a lot of that resistance is really heated up right now. And there's a lot of times I was thinking about it last week. Maybe that's what's affected. Because I've never had this type of headaches ever in my life. And I used to have migraines fairly consistently 13, 15, 20 years ago. Nothing like this. I started, honestly, I've done a lot of research on, COVID and the vaccine, which there's no such thing as a vaccine. There's an experimental emergency use shot that human beings are being the experiments on. I've wondered, is it, if you haven't learned about it, there's what's called shedding. Those people that have had the shot, do what's called shedding. That spike protein is serious and it sheds and affects other people. And so, I started wondering, God, I've never felt like this. I've never had this. Could it be that? So pay attention to what's going on in your life. Pay attention to the resistance you may be having, because it's real. And, where your energy is going to go where your focus is. So pay attention to what you're focusing on and, control and just notice what you're thinking about, pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to the stories that you're creating off those. And if you're able to control that and realize that that's all it is, thoughts, are nothing. They're just thoughts. They're not good. They're not bad. They're nothing. They're just thoughts. So anyway, hope y'all have a fantastic day. Pay attention, beat the resistance. Resistance is real. And if there's times that get you down, whether it's just mentally, you're kind of drained, even a little, even bummed out, depressed, just have nothing about it. Be willing to go home and take the day off, to have a nap, do whatever you need to do. Don't beat yourself up, and then just start over and attack the next day. Take it easy. Keep the faith. God will win.